pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. Yeah. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. There'll be my trail.
Hello, my name's Wimpy. Welcome to my world. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build on what we've asked. Live streams, and we're going to look at Desktopify, and we're going to go through how to get Ubuntu Desktop 20.04 LTS up and running on the brand new Raspberry Pi for 8 gigs of memory, which was released today. And for those of you that are new here and may be wondering how it is I've got one of these, then my day job, I'm engineering director canonical for Ubuntu Desktop, and the Raspberry Pi Foundation were good enough to supply a few of these, me and my colleagues, a little bit ahead of the 20 LTS release, so we could make they worked when they were released today. So that's how I happen to have one, and we'll go through the whole process from zero to desktop as quickly as we can. Now, before we get into that, I'll just say hello to chat. Oh, hello. What's not working there? Let's just fix that. That won't take long. Is why live streams are a pain. Try that again. Hello, chat. Sorry about that. Right then. Thank you all for rejoining the chat, everyone. Oh, and thank you for the sub, Felipe. Yes, we've got some live stream upgrade. Don't know how this is going to go, but thank you for subscribing. Right then. So thanks everyone. Welcome to those of you that are new here, and welcome back those of you that have been before. Wow, there's lots of you in. This is fantastic. Tell you what, we should just get straight on with it. We've got people from that whole bunch of names I've not seen before, and then some names I remember. So thank you all very much for stopping by. Right, we also have the overhead cam going. So here are the essentials for the evening. SD card reader. So this is what the engineering sample came in. It's just a plain white box, and inside here is the new Raspberry Pi 4. You really can't tell it apart, I don't think, from the existing model. I'm not a PC expert, but it's very similar to Driver part here. We're going to hook that up down here. So let's just get the. This is plugged into a capture device. I'm going to use Ethernet for simplicity. And then over here, I've got my second keyboard, which we'll put there. And then we have a adapter for that. Comes with a mouse, which I will about and drop. So that's it, but not powered up. So with that, we'll get back to the business of what we do next. So what we'll do is take one of these SD cards, and we're going to stick Ubuntu Server on this, and then we're going to run a bit of software called Desktopify, which we've been developing on this channel with members of the community, which turns Ubuntu Server for the Raspberry Pi into Ubuntu Desktop. We're going to do Ubuntu Desktop proper this evening, but you can do this same process for any of the Ubuntu flavours. So let's put that in here. I'll just jam that in my USB hub that's behind the monitor here. Right then, so how are we going to do this? Let's go use which camera to use now. This one, I think. There we go. Right then, so let's start up Raspberry Pi imager. So this was installed as a snap, so you can just install rpi-imager from the Snap Store if you're on Linux, and if you're on Windows, then the Raspberry Pi imager is available here for Windows or a Mac OS user. Sorry, but right then, so let's choose our OS. This has got a number of operating systems in here, including Ubuntu Server images, choice of 32-bit and 64-bit Ubuntu. I think we'll go 64-bit this evening, though I have tested with the 32-bit version as well. And we choose our SD card. These are some test card we're going to write to, and then we click write. I get prompted password. And that will now do its business. So while that's writing, that will take a few moments. Switch back to... Hello Kai, nice to see you again. Hello Bill, welcome back. Blue Freaker, welcome back. Hello. Makerbytes, hello. What's cutting out? Audio issue. Bill. Okay, we can fix that. Let's do. Okay, let's try that for the moment and see if that improves. Let me know if that stopped the audio cutting out, and if it hasn't, there's something else I can tweak. Right, so let's just take a little catch up in Slack there. So Slack in chat. Why not use a Bluetooth keyboard for radios? Hi Reese, is that Reese from work that's just subscribed? Thank you. As you can see, I've been playing around with OBS. I'll do some coverage on that at a later date. So why not use Bluetooth? Because on the Raspberry Pi server images, Bluetooth isn't enabled by default, because the serial console and Bluetooth on the Raspberry Pi are mutually exclusive. So I'm using, although it's a USB dongle, it's its own radio, you know, rather than Bluetooth. Right, let's just go and see how that write is going. Oh, it's 99% done. So once that's finished, we'll pop that in the Raspberry Pi and boot into a server image. I think I'm going to struggle to keep up with chat this evening. There's quite a few of you in here. Glad you like the new transitions. I've had some fun with OBS there. It's a mixture of stream elements and some clever stuff we've added to the OBS Studio Snap. Sub sound was over your voice. Okay. Yeah. It's the first time I've taken this one out for a test drive. It might need tweaking, so sorry about that. Right then, so that is done. So let's... I have to be on the virtual screen. Let's get rid of that. We're done there. We'll just switch back to overhead. So we'll pull this out, take the card out of there. And then into the Pi, and then I've got a Pi power supply just here. This is where you have to get your fingers out of the way. I still haven't put it in a case, so I run the risk of burning myself every time I do this. Right, so with that there, we should have a Raspberry Pi boot over here in a moment, he says. That's not a good sign. Come on. Wait. Ah, there we go. Let's try that. Has that got it? Ah, typical. This worked fine earlier. Why? Why nothing on the... Oh boy, right, let's I'll show you what I'm fiddling with down here. So let's just go back here, because pull the power. Try that again, shall we? Why is this not going to go? Come on, come on, you know you want to. There we go. Who can say what was going on there? So, unfortunately, this is going to be a little bit on the small side whilst we just bring this piece along, but it shouldn't take too long to move on past this. Turn our keyboard on as well. So this is a regular Ubuntu Server image pre-installed, so it has a default account called Ubuntu with a password of Ubuntu, and when we log in for the first time, it'll ask us to change our password, so let's do that. In fact, I've done this enough times to know in the background CloudInit is generating SSH host keys. I'm just going to wait for that to happen. There it goes. I'm just going to wait for that to happen, because it spits a few things out on the screen. So let's now log in, and the password is Ubuntu, and it will now ask me for the existing password, which is Ubuntu, and it will ask me for a new one, and I'm going to use Desktopify, which is the name of the project that we're going to use to turn this into a desktop image. That should momentarily log me in. So here we go, we're in a basic server image, and I suppose the first thing to do is demonstrate this is in fact an 8 gig model, so free minus M. It says 7.8 gig, probably thinking why 7.8 not 8. The reason is that some of that system memory is used by the GPU on the Raspberry Pi. So let's git clone. Hi Jose. Let's git clone the project. There'll be a link to this GitHub project in the description. So that's just going to pull out our little script, and then if we just run this, oh, I need to cd in there first, run Desktopify help. It tells us that we can just run it with Desktopify -de, and then we're going to do Ubuntu rather than you know, any of the other flavors this evening. So we do that, we now put in our new password, and that is now going to run. So this actually does a few things. It's going to install all of the packages that represent the desktop environment over the top of the server image. It is then going to install the Bluetooth stack for the Raspberry Pi, and somebody in the community just recently contributed an addition which installs the GPIO, not drivers, but the libraries for GPIO, so Pi GPIO 0 and GPIOD, stuff like that. And then it will reconfigure the network, removing the CloudInit and NetPlan configuration and handing that all off to Network Manager, which is what the desktop environments use. So it's basically doing that whole switch to from server to desktop, and once this script is run, we should be able to reboot, he says, and it will come up and it will be an Ubuntu desktop image. So with that, let's just switch back to the chat. Sorry I'm not keeping up on chat this evening. Audio dropout seem fixed now, so thanks Andy Hazen for confirming that. I know what I need to fix in my audio profile. I'm trying to be too clever with the tweaking the audio quality. So Kai, it's good to hear that Ubuntu Lumina Remix is coming along nicely. I'm looking forward to giving that a try. Stick in the chat where people can find Ubuntu Lumina and the test ISOs if that's something that's publicly available. I'm sure there's people here that will enjoy that. Hi Reese. Hello Reese, it's Reese from work. So Reese in the chat here, and it does just chat. He's product manager at Canonical for a number of things, including Ubuntu appliances and Ubuntu Core and a bunch of other stuff. And he and I have been working together on Raspberry Pi related stuff recently, and Reese is our Raspberry Pi champion at Canonical. Hello Silent Robot, hello Paul, hello all the new people. Blue Freak is saying you don't think that the Black Heart is a good fit. Yes, well, look, like I say, this is me experimenting. If there are any graphic artists in the community who can come up with something better for alerts on the stream, then by all means get in touch, let me know. Be happy to have you all create something better than I can cobble together from free assets and what have you. Hello Ferran, nice to see you again. Hi Max, thanks for joining. If there's anyone in the chat who hasn't said hello, do say hello and introduce yourself. It's always good to see who's joining us. Marcelo is asking, why is the sound so low? What sound? My voice? Is my voice too low? Let me know. If you post a link, Kai, I'll approve it, but I think it'll ask me to approve the link. Right. Hey, Big Pod. Welcome back. Big Pod is one of the people in the community who's contributed to this script we've got running. Let's see how it's doing. How are we doing here? Yeah, it's still whirring. It's still installing packages. We've got some time to go. Listeners of the Ubuntu podcast may have heard recently I've upgraded my home network and I've had to make some compromises when I live stream, so this isn't going at full beans. This is in reliable mode for live streaming. I'll just switch back to chat whilst we're waiting for that to finish. Might have to think of a way of compositing that other screen on top of me here. I've been having so much fun with OBS. I think it's my new favourite application. Hello Tyler, nice to see you. It's been a while. No, didn't get to see you this year. No Linux Fest Northwest. Hello Ronald, welcome. Hello Philip. Voice is fine, he says. Okay, thank you for that. Audio is great. Thank you Badger. Thanks for confirming. It's fairly low compared to the background music. Okay, I can fix that. I tell you what, let's I tell you what, let's do that. Let's do that here. Here's a little thing I've been working on, a silly little thing. So we've got Desktopify there. So let's just change directories to streaming, Spotify. In fact, I don't even need to do it here, do I? In fact, let's just do it. Let's just run it directly. Spotify volume. Let's just do that. There we go. We've just lowered the volume to 25%. Hopefully that will make it better. I'll program that into my my Stream Deck. Right, let's take that away. So I've written a couple of scripts to integrate OBS with Spotify on Linux. That's how this album art, which way is it? That way. That album art is appearing, and I'm also controlling the volume and track skipping and all of that stuff through those. Right, let's just have a quick look. How are we doing? Yep, still whirring. So hopefully that's leveled the audio out. We know that 25 is the magic answer, and then down here I'm using the Stream Deck to just control Spotify. But I've currently got that button programmed at 30%, so that needs to come down a touch. And what you can't see out of shot over here somewhere, there's a tablet, and I've got an app on the tablet that is controlling the scene transitions for OBS. If you're interested in any of that OBS stuff, I know there's not a huge number of people streaming with Linux, but if you're interested to know how I've created all of that, let me know in the comments, and I can put some videos together on how I've made all of that stuff work, including the fact that you've got the chat in the overlays as well, is one of the other things I worked on. Right, hopefully the audio's done. So it's a complicated name, but I'm going to go with ABD. Hello, I guess we must have met in Sintra in Portugal at UbuCon last year, but without seeing your real name, I'm not sure who I'm talking to. But hello again, and thank you for the beer. Did you get me a beer? It's possible. There was lots of people buying beers. Hello, Ross. Yes, all is well here. We've been self-isolating since February. We're not planning to change that approach anytime soon, despite the relaxing of things in the UK. Doesn't seem like the right time. Big Pod is asking, can you access the rpi with Ubuntu image installed, SSH, without ever connecting a screen? The answer to that question is yes, you can. So if you were just to connect Ethernet, for example, there's a lot of caveats to this answer, so the answer is kind of. If you connect a Pi to Ethernet and power it up, it will pick up a DHCP address, and then from somewhere else on the network you could run a tool called NetDiscover. That's in the archive, apt install NetDiscover, and you'd be able to see that new device on the network and its IP address, and you could SSH into it without ever having to use a keyboard and mouse. So that's one way to do it. That's not true for Ubuntu Core though, because of the key exchange that needs to happen, and we're working on improving that at the moment. It's a new project we're kicking off. So will Ubuntu ever come with OBS pre-installed? No, I doubt it, but I think it is an Ubuntu Studio. So if you need OBS and all that stuff by default, I think Ubuntu Studio have that, although this version I'm running is the Snap, and it's got a whole load of cool plugins baked in by default, so everything you need to do all of this stuff I'm fiddling with at the moment. Right, let's see how our install's coming along. 75% complete. This is the desktop install, so that's a few minutes away yet. Right, okay, so Big Pod saying he's planning on buying a Raspberry Pi 4 but doesn't want to buy a video cable, that it might only be used once. Yeah, in fact, I don't know if you can see here, but these, is it mini or micro? Somebody in chat correct me, I forget which ones you have on the Raspberry Pi, but I've got an adapter, so if I just bring this in, I've got HDMI there's the adapter. This is very difficult to control. Right, there we go. Look at that there. To this, to make that a little bit easier rather than having a bazillion different cables. So Marcelo says, I am, as in I am running OBS, I stream my games on Linux. Good for you. Do you stream to Twitch or YouTube? Excuse me. So I think Dinesh is saying yes please to my offer to explain more details about OBS and stuff. I'd be happy to. It's my new favourite thing. I'm having loads of fun playing with it. Fedora, so you're streaming from Fedora 32 on a modest Acer laptop. It's amazing what you can do, and also the Snap of OBS has NVENC hardware encoding and VA API, so you can do hardware assisted encoding as well, even on Intel and AMD. Right. So Ross has also said he would like to see stuff on OBS. Okay, well that's a straw poll of 3 people, and because it's the thing that I'm most interested in at the moment, I'll do that next. I'll do some OBS related stuff because I think OBS is awesome. The bot in chat says subscribe. Do it now. It says so. If you're enjoying this, give it a like, and if you're getting some value from it, subscribe and mash the bell or something. Right. Let's see. We must be close. We must be close. 87%. Nearly there. So, hello John. Welcome back to the stream. Nice to see you again. And it's micro HDMI on the Raspberry Pi 4. So if you're looking to get cables for the Raspberry Pi 4, it's micro. Thank you, Makerbytes, for pointing that out in the chat. So Tyler says he's in the process of buying a System 76, a new System 76 laptop right now. Which model are you going for, Tyler? And why did you choose the one you're going for? I'm always interested to know why people choose particular hardware for their Linux rigs. Right, there's plenty of people saying yes, OBS content would be welcome. Right, I'll totally do that. I'll totally do that. I'll also point you in the direction of some channels that they're streaming on Windows, but they had some really great tips on how to do stuff, and it turned out most of the plugins that they were recommending are also built on Linux as well, so that's fantastic. In fact, I would say the people that seem to be developing the most interesting plugins seem to be Linux first developers, because those plugins have been available for Linux forever. Has anyone checked the OBS snap in Wayland? Yes, so Farron's asking, has anyone checked the OBS snap in Wayland? Yes, a colleague of mine has, and they pointed out a bug to me, which I'm going to have a go at fixing. It will start, but something didn't work. I've made a note of the details somewhere. I haven't come back to it, but I have seen there's a plugin to improve the Wayland integration. So I'm gonna take a look at that at some point. John Ola says, "Wait, 8 gig Pi 4." Yes, it was released today. 8 gig Raspberry Pi 4. In fact, it's the worst kept secret ever, because if you've got a Raspberry Pi 4 in the early batches, the little printed paraphernalia in the box said available as 2 gig, 4 gig and 8 gig models, so they kind of sort of let the cat out of the bag with that one. Right, how are we doing? Let's just see. Right, generating initial RAM disk, so that must be the end of the desktop install. After this, it's going to install the snaps. If the flavour has snaps, then it will install the snaps that go with that. And what else does it do after that? Oh, and then the hardware packages. So it's probably got a few minutes still to go. Not the fastest process, I admit, but it does work. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. So Tyler says he is going for the new Lima Pro, primary motivating factor being the battery life. Okay, that's good to know. And Paul M says, I wish System 76 had a UK based distributor. Yes, I mean, I do believe you can get them imported just fine, but sometimes the import duty means that it's not, you know, economically the best option. However, we do have loads of organisations in the UK and Europe. So we've got Entroware in the UK, and is it Star Labs, and there's another one. Forgotten the name. So anyone in chat familiar with the guys in Europe? There's also Slim Books in Spain, who are really great guys as well, and they ship all over Europe. So Slim Books and Entroware are the two that I'm most familiar with, and I've had most dealings with. And I see at events, you know, Ubuntu and Linux events around Europe. They're fabulous, and they've always got their new devices out on show. So there's lots of chat now about that's it. So Start Labs, yeah, Pine as well. Although Pine are purely ARM-based devices, so if you're in for ARM devices, as we are doing this evening, then yeah, they're a good option too. Let's see where we've got to. There we go. So it's finished. It's now doing a snap install at the moment for the bits for the desktop. We'll just let that run. Yeah, so Gary Williams. Hello, Gary. I think this is the Gary I know. You're This Geek Tweets. Is that your... That's you on Twitter, I think. When I spoke to... He says when he spoke to Emma, that's Emma Marshall at System 76 at Linux Fest Northwest last year, she did say that she'd be more than happy to ship to the UK via a freight forwarder. But yes, it's then the duty that you may end up paying on top. Yeah, Big Pod says he normally goes for the big brands like Dell, Lenovo and HP, and all of those have Ubuntu pre-install models available. Hello, Gary. Yeah, I thought that was you. Welcome to the stream. I think, is this the first time you've stopped by here? I can't remember. Is that... Okay, well spotted. Although you've misidentified the beer. So this is, let's see, it's LHDIY. Am I pronouncing that right? Spotted my beer. I'll just take a sip now. But no, it's not Hogarden. It is this. Advert for one of my local breweries. How do I get that in focus? Gosh. Shallow depth of field is difficult. It's called Tanglefoot. From the Badger Brewery down in the New Forest. Aptly named, actually. You don't want to have too many of those. Right, let's see. How are we doing? Still connecting snaps, so just leave that. I do like this new tablet controlled stuff. So I've also been doing a bunch of work with Stream Decks. Is there anyone here who's got a Stream Deck? I've sort of kind of got it mostly working on Linux now. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. I was thinking of doing a couple of videos about how I'm using the tablet, or you could use a phone for that matter. I happen to be using a tablet. Tablet and phone to control OBS. I'm very happy with how that's working, and then I've got the Stream Deck doing ancillary tasks. Let's have a look here. So Big Pod says that he had bad experiences with Asus, and Asus isn't that great laptop maker either. Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, if you have bad experience with a manufacturer, you can't really get on board with the idea again anymore. So Kai says, posted an article, Ubuntu Lumina is coming along well. Just need to figure out what I did wrong with Plymouth. Whoa, what's Plymouth doing or not doing? If you can explain here in a tweet-sized description, I might have some advice. Or hopefully, maybe there's a more talented colleague of mine in the chat, and they might have some ideas. Thirsty Ferret sounds like an Ubuntu. Yes, Thirsty Ferret is also one of theirs. And is that Badger? I think it is. It's definitely local. I know we have that at our local beer fairs. That's a great one too. Great beer. You've reminded me I've got my beer now. I'm not going to be able to leave it alone. Right. Let's take a quick look here. Ah, there we go. We appear to be done. So the last things I can see there is all of the GPIO stuff being installed. So we'll reboot the Raspberry Pi. This is kind of going to be glorious success or huge disappointments. Let's just reboot the Pi and see if we get a desktop. Given that I haven't actually tested this combination of desktop environment on the 64-bit version of the Pi, so I genuinely don't know if this is going to work or not. If it doesn't, I'm going to quickly choose another flavour and do that. I do know that works. It worked. The Ubuntu Desktop worked on the 32-bit build for the Raspberry Pi. And Kai, as you can see here, I still haven't got round to integrating Plymouth in this boot script. So maybe if I get to that commit may be useful if you've got some difficulties with Plymouth in Ubuntu Lumina. Mayor Cohen asks, have you seen the new GPD device? I remember you have a few of them, right? Yes, GPD have sent me some of their devices in the past so that I can make Ubuntu MATE images for them as a, project, personal interest project. But no, they haven't sent me. Is it called the GPD Win Max? Holy smoke! Look at that. We've got a login prompt. So let's turn my mouse on, my second mouse, and haha, check it out. Right then. Is a purple square a desktop? Is it going to do more than that? Come on. Come on. Come on, come on. Oh, hey. There we go. And there's Felicity. Wonderful. Right then. So this should now behave like the first time you logged into an Ubuntu machine. So I'm not going to log into any accounts. I'm not going to set up live patch just now. I will submit my report. Have you seen this? This is so this is the Ubuntu report. Let's see what's in here, given this is running on a Raspberry Pi. There we go. Look, it does say Raspberry Pi 30 op mode. It's op mode the kernel boot mode, 32-bit and 64-bit the user space. I'm never quite sure how that worked. In any case, that's my data for this machine, running at a slightly unusual resolution of 1824 by 984 by virtue of being on this capture device and all the rest of it. Oh, that's the wrong mouse. I'm moving around the screen now. So yeah, we'll send that. Chalk up another ARM install for Ubuntu Desktop. Please do more of those. Makes it easier for me to justify work on stuff. Okay, I don't mind about that. And this is interesting. Far fewer recommended bits of software when you're on ARM. That's, I think, a list of 30 bits of software on the regular desktop. What have we got there? 7. So, let's bring up a terminal. Let's install NeoFetch. That will tell us some stuff. We'll probably want to there we go. Oh, bit of artifacting there. Hide that quickly. Nobody saw a thing. So, what did I just install? Oh, I spelled it wrong. So, there we go. AArch64, Raspberry Pi 4 Model B, Rev 1.4 with the Raspberry Pi kernel. Our strange resolution, and we're using just slightly over 1 gig of our 7.8 gigs of usable RAM with 4 CPU cores at 1.5 gigahertz. I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think? That's not too shabby, is it? So Philip Espy is asking, what price is the 8 gig Raspberry Pi 4? It's $75. And in fact, there's a link in the description of this video, which is a link to the Raspberry Pi Foundation announcement where they talk about the price, the changes that they've made between the first Pi 4 coming out just about a year ago and to where they are now. I think they've sold 3 million Raspberry Pi 4s in just about a year, which is quite astonishing. Hugely successful now. It's fabulous to see. Graphical glitches. I don't know what you're talking about. No graphical glitches to see here. Says someone's been having fun snapping for learning. Oh, Big Pod. Oh, go you. A simple terminal. ST, a simple terminal. Right, so that will need to be classic, your simple terminal, because confined snaps can't launch arbitrary binaries, which a terminal would obviously need to be able to do. Just in as he booted from USB. Not USB, no, it's actually installed on the card. We've done an install. How many gigabytes? This is the 8 gig model, Diddle Dan. Welcome back to the stream, by the way. Am I supposed to sound disappointed when I speak to you? Diddle Dan and I live in the same town. And he's always saying I greet him with derision every time I see him, which I don't think's true, but there we go. Right, hang on, let's have a look here. What have we got? Someone wants to post a link. This is regarding grub configuration, so I've let that through. Uploaded my awesome thing. It's a fork of the coolest thing ever. I wonder what that could be, Kai. Is the CPU powerful enough to do anything that requires 8 gig? Well, obviously it helps on the desktop, right? Because now we've got plenty of room there, so you can actually, you know, use the Raspberry Pi 4 with, well, even the 4 gig, well, depending on the flavour of Ubuntu or the desktop, you know, the 2, 4 and 8 gig versions will run desktops just fine. So that's quite good for learning environments. But one thing I'm really keen to try with the 8 gig version of the Raspberry Pi 4 is Nextcloud. You know, if you want to do your own cloud hosting, I think 8 gig gives enough headroom that could be a really useful, modest, you know, home instance of Nextcloud, and allow you to add some things like sync thing for doing, you know, because I use sync thing for keeping a bunch of stuff in sync between different devices, which I find sync thing does very well, and Nextcloud is not really designed to do that kind of rapid rate change file synchronization. And then Git for doing self-hosted Git, stuff like that. So I think the 8 gig model, you know, you could have it with the DHCP server as well, and something like AdGuard to do ad filtering. So you could do quite a lot on a single Raspberry Pi 4 that you wouldn't be able to do that many useful things. Also, of course, you can run things like microcates and LexD on it, so you can run a whole bunch of containers, you know, in 8 gigs of RAM. So, you know, there's plenty of opportunity now. I think it's a very exciting device. I'm looking forward to getting into it. I'm glad it's out and we can finally talk about it as well, because like I say, some of us have had these kicking around for a while, and I've had to check every time I've done a live stream to make sure I haven't got the wrong one out and then suddenly flash up something on the screen with 8 gigs of RAM, so it'll be good to not have to worry about that anymore. Right, okay, just catching up. So let's have a look in the chat here. Yeah, runs VMs on his Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it's lovely to get more RAM. Yeah, definitely VMs and containers, it's great for that stuff. So Marcelo asks, this is a good opportunity to ask why Ubuntu, at least Pop! OS, doesn't come with Gork installed. Really? You buying into that whole bug around Gork? I'm not even going to go there. Why is that an issue for you? Explain why. 8 gig means you could do... Yeah, 8 gig means you won't hit you know, out of memory issues, and you won't have to go to swap, you know, which you would on like a 1 gig or sometimes on a 2 gig model, depending on what you're doing. Yeah, the snap of Nextcloud is terrific. I've got it running over there. That's something else I wanted to do a video on at some point as well, running Nextcloud on Ubuntu Core. So Dan asks, I want to run Raspberry Pis as single purpose servers, one for Nextcloud. Yeah, that's how I've done it in the past. Is my daughter and I went around the house and collected up all the Raspberry Pis and got them in one place. And I said, we'll get them all together and we'll catalogue them and we'll do a new project on each of them. Unfortunately, now, because of these Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gig. I have 23 Raspberry Pis that I've collected over the years. So I need to think of 23 things to do with a Raspberry Pi, and I've got everything from the very first models and, you know, the zeros, all the various versions, the Model A's. So if you've got ideas for things you could do with a Raspberry Pi, let me know in the comments below, because I need 23 ideas of what I can do with a Raspberry Pi. Yeah. So where did I get to? Big Pod says oh right, okay, so you're going to put a video of snapping ST on DistroTube's channel. Excellent. Are you collaborating with DT then, Big Pod? Does anyone know if the rpi are considering a bump in CPU at any point? I don't know. Yes, Kai, yeah, you can post your link to your GitHub project for your Plymouth fork. That's absolutely fine. Do you use ZRAM? Paul Moberg asks. I have used it in the past. I'm not using it on this one here. I mean, does anyone want to see anything? Oops, it's gone to sleep. Wakey, wakey. Ooh, there we go. This is a new thing. I haven't actually tried that. That appears to work. Anything anyone wants to see? I mean, it's kind of there. I haven't got anything I can plug into it really. The purpose of this was 0 to desktop. I've got some notes about the basic steps. I'll put those in the description, so anyone that wants to reproduce this for themselves can do so. And you don't need a Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigs of RAM. We've been testing this on the Raspberry Pi 2 and the 3 and the earlier versions of the Raspberry Pi 4. So yeah, feel free to have a tinker with the desktop on a Pi. I'll just go back to the chat because you're all very interesting. 23 different gateways, Blue Freaker suggests. Yeah, I think we need 23 discrete Raspberry Pi projects, not the same project 23 times. I don't know that the Pi 4 with 8 gigs is going to eat Nux because, although it's, thanks KJ, although that's a very capable machine now, it doesn't compete with the raw horsepower of Intel CPUs. Not yet anyway, maybe in time, maybe, you know, well there are ARM boards out there that are very capable, but you know, the Pi is built to a price for a reason. That's because of their educational mission. Something that I'm thinking about having a go at, as we were talking about OBS earlier, is you've got the Pi 4 here and earlier Pis, the Pi 3, which are compatible with that new camera module they released a few weeks ago. And I was thinking, what if you get a Pi 3 or 4, put the new camera module on it, put the lens kit that they make available on it as well, and then connect that over Ethernet or Wi-Fi. I don't know if both would work, but connect it over Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and then export that camera over NDI and import it as a source into OBS, and you could make your own webcam replacement for probably about the same cost as a high quality webcam. And I say high quality because webcams are not high quality, and make your own webcam for live streaming. I thought that would be a fun project. If anyone's got any ideas about how to go about that, because I haven't looked into it in excruciating detail, but I thought that would be a fun one to do. So Big Pod says yes, he and DistroTube, you should check his channel out by the way, are collaborating on doing videos about packaging Linux packages. We did AUR and we also did Snap. Well, excellent, go you, congratulations. I shall seek that one out. Is it already published or is it coming out soon? We need pfSense to make an ARM release. Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be terrific actually. That's one area where I feel there's a gap. Does anyone know of a really decent like firewall distribution based on Linux? Because pfSense seems to have it all sewn up right now, has done for years. So Rohit says he's got some ideas to set up CloudStack, QEMU, KVM, and run workloads on it. Yes. So Reese, I don't know if Reese is just Reese in the chat. He wrote a blog post recently about creating a Kubernetes cluster on I think 4 or 5 Raspberry Pi 4s. So yeah, you can do some cool stuff like that. Farron, why are you asking about GNOME tweaks? I've obviously missed part of the conversation. If you can just remind me, I'll catch up on that. Can you show us the performance of it running a YouTube video? Yeah, why not? I don't... Let's just think. No, this is... I'm pretty certain this isn't going to generate audio, but let's find out. I'll use the right mouse and everything now. I tell you what, let's get meta. No, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Let's go to... Let's see how... Oh, I wonder if this is advisable. I should be fine. Let's see if I can... Live now. Should we see if this works? Your browser doesn't currently recognize any of the video formats available. Ah, well there you go. That's a bit disappointing. I wonder if I need to install something. I've never done this before, I don't know. Let's just try a regular video, see if it's something to do with live streams. Something to do with live streaming by the looks of it. I wonder if that's because... I wonder why that is. Anyone know why that might be the case? So, this is playing. There we go. Thing is that I don't know if you're going to see any lagginess as a result of this going through my capture device or not. So, I'm not sure how representative this is really going to be. What I'm seeing is obviously going to be slightly more fluid than what you see because it is at least local. Let's go. Well, it's quite stuttery looking from here, but like I say, this is going through a capture device to get there, so I don't know. In fact, it's actually stopped. Let's try just going to YouTube. I'm picking... I was going to say something at random, but I won't do that. I'll try and pick something appropriate. I saw Pokimane got in hot water the other day for randomly clicking video links and flashing up porn on her Twitch stream. There we go. This can't be bad. It's our stupid Prime Minister. Let's see. Well, let's see if this is an improvement or not. Am I watching a video? I am. Oh. I'm watching a really long advert by the looks of it. Gosh, adverts got long on YouTube. When did this happen? Skip. It's not looking super fast there in past all these things, let's just skip here so we can see some movement. Right, take a quick look at chat whilst that's loading up. We'll come back to that, see how it's doing. So let's just have a quick look. Where did we get to? So Big Pod answered my question that the video on snap packaging on DistroTube's channel should be out in a few hours. That's great to know. I'll check that out for sure. Kai, thank you for posting a link. That didn't come into my moderator queue. I don't see that anywhere. Sorry about that. So Gary has configured one of his Raspberry Pis as a VPN endpoint. Yes, of course. That's super interesting with WireGuard now. That would be a fun one to do. That's definitely going to get added to the list. I think that's a good one to do. In theory, you could use the Subiquity installer to do automated build. Yes, you could. Yep. Daniel Llewellyn, I like the sound of using the Pi camera as a webcam. Yeah, I think that sounds like a fun one to do, I think. I wonder what that would cost. The camera and its lenses, I think, are about 60 quid. Pi 3, get for 35. So about 100 quid. I mean, that's still cheaper than like a Logitech Brio and stuff like that. Well, it's cheaper than every webcam in the world right now because, of course, they've either sold out or they've all been massively marked up. I was asking for ideas, yes. Open the stream, Henrik says. What does that mean, Henrik? You've lost me. Also, welcome back. Do it in Firefox, not Chrome, to show off the hardware accelerated video decode. Would be powerful enough to run OBS. Right, so Andy Hazen is asking, he wonders if the Raspberry Pi would be powerful enough to run OBS and do capture cards. So I've been wondering that, and the snap of OBS, I've built everything from source, because one of the things I want to have a go at is running OBS on a Raspberry Pi and see how it works. And also I maintain the snap of FFmpeg, and I'm partway through in a branch which is on my home machine, accelerating that FFmpeg for the Raspberry Pi. So if I get that working, I can put an equivalent build of that FFmpeg in the OBS snap to do OMX acceleration in OBS on ARM, although it's not ARM, it's really the Raspberry Pi. And that could be interesting to see what it can do. I actually don't know what to expect from that, but it sounds like a fun bit of experimentation. So BigPod is planning to do some local repositories and small programs on the Pi 2 gig. Yep, I like the 2 gig model, although the reason for having it now is kind of gone because the 4 gig model price was brought down to 35 quid. So the 4 gig one is the 2 gig still available, or have they reduced the price on that? I don't remember, but I know that the 4 gig model is the same price as the launch price of the 2. Yeah, I think there's something needed there. I mean, I've not tried it before. Let's go and see how that was doing. I'll just catch up with the chat before we get any further. Zork 1, 2 and 3. Good luck with snapping those, John. Let me know when you've done it. Yeah, Tyler, I have YouTube Premium as well, just to dodge all of the things. Ferren, for some reason your messages are being blocked. It's not me doing it. I don't know why those aren't coming through. It'll be software rendering on Wayland using hardware. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even. I think no, it's defaulting to X, isn't it, on the Pi? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're in full playback now, and that's looking pretty. There's quite a lot of frame skipping going on there by the looks of it. So to Andy Hazen's question, I'm pretty sure that this is Ooh, let's upset it. Oh, no, it hasn't. I mean, I know that we're not optimizing the browsers for Raspberry Pi. I know that the Raspberry Pi Foundation did some work on Chromium, but those patches fallen behind the current releases, so that they don't apply cleanly. Far from it now. Why was I here? To have a look and see what display server we're on. X11. Okay. But it is software rendering. Something we're working on as well, by the way. But it is, yeah, software. So that's probably keeping the how's load looking? Not terrible, really, considering. I wonder how's it doing for heat. I couldn't fry an egg on it. I mean, I felt hotter Raspberry Pis. That's all. Well, no, the chip is actually dangerously hot. Don't do that. Don't touch a Raspberry Pi 4 when it's in use. Oh, interesting. So Big Pod says that the 4 gig version of the Raspberry Pi is €65 where he is, and 2 gig is 40. Okay, interesting. Oh, I see. Okay, Henrik, I understand. You could use the video output of the Pi as a full screen video to do camera output to a capture card. Yeah, I was thinking NDI would be a nice way of doing it though, so you know, it's the new hotness at the moment, and I wanted an excuse to experiment with NDI, and that was the best idea I could come up with. So MakerByte says right click on the video to bring up the stats. Okay. Oh, Mark Rover. He's a safe. He's a safe channel, right? So we're waiting for this to start, and then I think said right click. What was it that I was told to do? Because I've already forgotten. Stats for nerds. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Everyone can see that now, I guess. So, it's gonna... Oh, I don't know that we've actually got a Wayland compatible driver, so this is probably not going to work. Oh. Come on, GDM. Come on, come back to me. Oh, we just found our first fail. Oh yeah, the mouse is not. The mouse is gone. Oh, it's not happening. We've killed it. Right. Okay. Well, it's just that is toasty. I must put this in a case. It's not like I'm short of them either. I've got plenty of the damn things. I just haven't had the time to do it. Right, let's see if that's going to bring the display back, because that was a bit flaky. I'm wondering if that adapter cable's not the best, because this seems to be highly unreliable. Yeah, that's playing up. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll switch back to chat. I think we'll start to wind up, because we've kind of proven that you can get it working, albeit with dodgy cables and what have you. So maybe next time we'll take a look at if we can get it up on Wayland and see if we can get a better experience with the browsers and video there. thank you all for stopping by. Thanks for those of you that demonstrated some interest in OBS tips and stuff. That's definitely something I'm interested in doing. So I'll start taking a look into that. I've also, like I said, done some stuff on Stream Decks as well. So I'll take a look at that as well. Right. Well, thank you all for coming back. Hopefully that was interesting, useful. I will update the description shortly after this goes live with the steps so that you can do this for yourself. And you can have a play with Ubuntu on the Raspberry Pi or one of the other Ubuntu flavours if that's what your preference might be. So if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, give us a sub and ding that bell. And we'll call it there. So thank you everyone for coming, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, which will come around a bit quicker. Now I've sort of figured out some of this OBS stuff and I've got a setup that mostly works. I'll just tweak it a little bit and we'll have these come around a little bit more frequently. So with that,